hear us?
Yes, Rahita, we
Is
can
there
hear
any
you.
audio problem for people online?
No, it's good online.
We can hear you. And online folks, please
Okay.
confirm.
How about the other one?
Yes, we can hear.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Ramkesh?
They cannot.
Yeah, we can hear you. Bowen, Rahita, we can hear you clearly.
Unmuted, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
And it's recording. Okay. Should be fine.
Turn up the volume. The volumes are new, right?
Yeah.
Oh, just one
Neither.
second, please. My God.
Yeah.
Connected. Should be good.
We said
Hey,
1 second.
Rahita and Bowen, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We can hear you clearly.
All right.
Okay.
Both. All right, let's get started. We'll start the final session today. I know we went through a lot of contents today. In the morning, we went over the overview of RLM. We did a CoCal presentation and PCM. So now it's the configurator. All interesting, modules of the product suite. So my name is Bowen. I look after PCM and configurator product management. And Rahita is the lead PM for configurator. So we do have an expert in the room. Really appreciate, before I start, really appreciate our partnership, for you guys to travel to London and attend this in person. Also, thank you people online for allocating this chunk of time, learning what do we offer in this new release, right? So safe harbor statement, no, I don't need to repeat anything. We're gonna say that count. Sorry. Well, it does count, but when customers are making purchase decision, they should only make the decision based on GA features, not future features. All right. So we're going to have a 2-hour session from now on. Sorry, the time is really tight. So we planned for 3 hours, but we have to cut it short to 2 hours. But this cohort is very productive, so I think we can get everything done in 2 hours. At end of the session, what we're hoping to get is all of you guys will understand how to create and manage configuration rules and design time data as an admin user. And number 2 is how to run configurator as a sales rep from the code order capturing perspective. And finally, understand how configurator is linked to other modules in RLM, such as product catalog, pricing, code order capture, and so forth. Okay, so you've seen this slide 3-4 times already. So basically, the key takeaway is we're not building yet another CPQ product. CPQ is too narrow. We're building a product suite that covers product to cash, end-to-end process, from defining product service offering to price management to config price code, and down the road for contract lifecycle management, order management, billing, and so forth. So it's going to be a large suite of product, way larger than the CPQ product. Right. The value proposition of our new configurator is going to be focusing on 3 key values: intelligent, extensible, and scalable. By intelligent, we mean build a configurator that can be smart enough to run pricing rules, run configuration rules, even in the future, run AI to guide user to complete a complex configuration. So it's going to be very intuitive, but very, very intelligent. Extensible means we don't want to just build some standard functionality out of box and people can just simply use, instead of having a tool, a platform they can further extend. So we've built a bunch of headless API in 248, so this February release. which will enable partner companies and customers to further extend the capability of offerings such as a custom UI, third-party system, surfacing up config logic. So imagine you don't even have to use our configurator UI. You can simply use our config API, consume the config API, and power up a e-commerce site. A user can do self-service configuration. So just imagine the same set of configuration rules can be used not just for sales rep, but also for buyers as well. And we're also building custom field mapping. So if you were to add a bunch of custom field in product 2, you're going to have those custom field in code line item and in configurator. So in the future, you're going to extend the standard configurator by adding a bunch of custom fields. And we're building capabilities to fulfill that requirement. We also have a UI template that's highly configurable. We ship out of box config UI template based on flow, but you guys can go ahead and extend your own custom component and put that component in the configurator flow template, which we'll show you shortly, and provide a vertical solution for your customer. And lastly, the scalable value is that we are serving 2 different markets. One is a mid-market SMB customer who may have a few hundred rooms, may have a few thousand SKUs to sell. We want to offer a really easy to use configurator for those customers. And also there are high-end customers who demand high volume, highly complex bundles, such as a bundle with thousands of lines in it with a super complex constraint rules in it. So we want to support not just the SMB, but also large enterprise with complex use cases. All right, so all in all, what we are launching today is a configurator that has a composable design template that you can further extend. We launched a configurator that has a config rules that support validation of inclusion, exclusion, and attribute validation and so forth. And that capability will continue on. We'll enhance the rules in upcoming releases to have more broader rules, such as action-based rules, auto-add, auto-remove, auto-update, attribute, quantity. A lot of other rules will be added. And we're offering an intuitive runtime experience. Once writer runs through the demo, you will see it's very easy to use. We can easily manage a multi-level bundles visually. So sales rep can easily go back and forth into different level and do configuration and immediately see the summary of the configuration. And we have headless API, as I explained earlier, but also we can support third-party configurator as well. Not to say that our configurator is not great, but really we understand our customers' unique need. So in case there's customer saying we want RLM, but we have our own configurator, fine, we can even support that. So with that, I'm going to switch over to Rahita, who is really the expert in configurator. She will have the deep dive presentation with you guys. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Rahita and thanks Govind for laying the ground here. What I'm going to do quickly is get into some of the key features of the Salesforce product configurator. In the slide, we've made 2 parallel lines. One's called the configurator design time experience and the other one is the config runtime experience. The rationale behind this is that we acknowledge that the configurator is predominantly dealt with completely different personas, such as that of a product catalog administrator, a rules administrator, and on the other hand, it's also the sales rep who kind of works on it at the time of selling. So everything on the left is pretty much what helps us build a configurator. So that's what we refer as the design time. The first one there is the customizable templates. Now, every component or the Salesforce configurator that we have has multiple different components in them. And these components are purpose-built. So these are the entire shell of the configurator is nothing but multiple different components put together. And we'll look into it as I show you the product and the demo, that the different templates or the different components, when put together, forms the shell or the template of the configurator. Now, once I have a template designed, or I have the shell as I'm a catalog administrator, that I have a template or a custom template designed for configurator, I need to assign that to a certain product, which means that I have an organization, and Saras talked about it in the morning. You have products and product classifications. These templates then get assigned to them, which internally means that at the time of selling, the template that got assigned to your product gets launched at runtime. So that's the key aspect of the whole preview and assignment of template. The last bullet there is essentially the CPU or the mastermind of the configurator, which is essentially the config rules. And there were a lot of questions this morning in the spreadsheet with respect to what are the kind of rules that can be done. So a lot of the administrative side of how does a configuration rule get written? What are the constraints that can be applied? Okay, and everything that needs to be defined to facilitate a product being configured in its sanity is done via the configuration rules aspect. So again, everything with respect to a product catalog administrator or a rules administrator or anything that essentially helps you drive the end-time experience is all dictated by the various design time features. Now, once your configurator has been designed, it's at the hands of the sales rep, and that's where they go on the field, they start using it, and they start selling your product by building them using the configurator that's available to them at the time of quoting. So the key features that we call out there is instant pricing. Again, it's not new to us. Tony showed us this morning. Essentially, even within the configurator, as you build your product, you can instantly check the price of the product. So I have multiple different options that are getting added. How is that influencing my price? So that's the ability of instant pricing. Now, the configurator is a visual tool. Every sales rep is going to work on it. It needs to be intuitive. It needs to be something that I can quickly look through it, have all the information that I need when I'm trying to sell it to my customer. So that whole summary of how my product is getting built is done via the configuration summary. This is where we give the sales rep a good visual representation of your product being built, along with its key attributes and what your pricing looks like. A couple of the bullets, the two last bullets are pretty much tied together. So again, a configurator is nothing but ensuring that you're building the right product. So you need to validate that what you're building is actually compatible. So the validation of certain products being put together, or are the attributes right, or can a certain product be sold with certain other product? All of that is done at the time of sale via this feature called as product validation. And let's say if I validate, and highly likely I may be putting two incompatible products together, then I do need to provide the sales rep a visual cue or an indication as to something didn't go wrong, and maybe some products were not compatible, and we do that via the error messaging. So again, in a nutshell, everything on the right is all the various key capabilities that enable selling and are powerful tools for the sales rep to go ahead with their negotiations when they use the configurator module. Okay, with that, let's a little deep dive into a few of these features that I called out at a high level. And the first one here, the first couple ones are the features that are essentially being used by the Salesforce or a catalog administrator persona. So the very first one is a composable template. Like I mentioned, the idea of a template is think of it as a tool that we provide to the admin so they can stitch up a configurator experience together. And that is done via these different components on the right. So on the right, you see there is a transaction header component, there is a product header, there is an attribute, and so on. All of these are flow-based components that we ship out of the box, and each of these components have characteristics. And it is essential to note what this does. In fact, this is quite powerful because this tells you that, let's say product attributes, I can actually use this tool to see how my product attributes get rendered at runtime. So on the right, you see something called as columns, and you also see a variant called as tabs. So let's say if I say set product attributes as tabs, then at eventual runtime, the attributes would be listed in a tabular manner. Or I could even do accordion. I could make it a 2-column layout or a 1-column layout. So all that work that happens here is basically putting down these different components together and changing its characteristics or attributes behind the scenes so that the visual rendering of it is accurate. So this is the tool that a flow template or a designer persona is going to use and alter a few key characteristics, which then gets published or when get assigned is rendered as per the definition set out here. Yeah. And again, these are the common questions that we keep getting asked is that, are these templates extendable? Meaning, let's say if there are any other additional components that you want to plug and play into it, that is something that we do allow. So out of the box, we have these templates, but you can add another external widget. Let's say a Google Maps gets added here, and then at runtime, you can actually see a Google Map component in your configurator. So there is that power of extensibility as well. All right. Now, once you have a template assigned, it's of no use until it's, what is it, right? If it has no association with anything, then what am I going to do? So these templates then get assigned to a product or a product classification. So Salesforce comes with the out-of-the-box configurator, and that via a screen here, which is called as a product configuration flow, could be assigned to different products. So if I assign a configurator template to laptop, which had my attributes, let's say, set in an accordion style, then for the laptop, that particular rendering of template happens at runtime. But let's say for the mouse, I had changed a few characteristics and I said that, show me the attributes in an accordion manner or show it to me in a 2-column layout. Then that change of visualization happens because the mouse was linked to another template. So you see the power of how we can visually tweak these templates, which then change the end user visual experience of how that gets launched. So that's again done via your whole assignment via the product flow assignment to either a product or a product classification. All right, that was everything with respect to setup. So we talked about what can a product, a persona with a catalog administration persona can do. But now let's think about the sales rep. Now that is essentially where a lot of this comes into play. So what you see on the right is actually the template. So this is the template which got published. And maybe let's say for a Cisco bundle on launch, your configurator looks like this. So if I'm a sales rep, there are, as the name says it's configurator. So I am going to use this tool to configure products. So I'm going to be simply changing its quantity, selecting different attributes, adding optional products to the bundle. Somebody asked a question this morning, can I add dynamic products or can I do a dynamic bundle at runtime? So this is where all of this configuration happens. And as we do the demo, you will see of how UI intuitive it is and how helpful it gets to the sales rep as a tool because it helps you stitch all of your products together. Now, this is also another place of doing price visualizations. What's the use of configuration if I cannot see the price of the attributes that I've selected? So on the right is what we call the summary panel. So everything that you're building together in your product, its attributes, its quantity, any configuration rule, if that happens, then your summary panel simply keeps building up and gives you a complete breakdown of how your product has been built. The last thing here is the product validation. Like I said, your products need to coexist. There could be certain business logic that may be put behind the scenes, which limits a certain product to be sold with another product. Or maybe there is some shortage of attributes, a shortage of a certain kind of product, and I don't want to sell that anymore. And if those rules are in place, then at the time of configuration, those rules get kicked in and the user is notified if there is some incompatibility of such a product being built. Again, the other key thing is the multi-level navigation. So from a quote, if I go ahead and add a bundle, which is, let's say, super large, then the visualization of that bundle comes into reality within the configurator. So if I have a bundle which is, say, 75 products long, then how do I know how that bundle looks like? So the whole multi-step navigation, which is very intuitive and very friendly to the, very visually appealing to the user, is to say that where I am in the configuration. So on top, at any given point of time, I can actually have a specific view of the product that I'm working on. And you are always guided to go back to its root, to go to its child, and see where you are in the whole bundle structure. So again, if the product has a nested bundle, which goes, let's say, 4 levels deep, you have visual indicators here with, let's say, a breadcrumb or a summary up top, which will take you directly to where you are in the whole bundle structure. Configuration rules, like I said, a catalog administrator or a rules administrator defines your different rules. They define inclusion rule, a validation rule, and so on. But that's at the time of definition. But at the time of configuring or for the sales rep, these rules do get surfaced at the configurator, and this is where it gets applied. And we can start seeing if there is compatibility issues or if there are issues with respect to how these get characterized. And you get the error messaging and so on in the screen. Now, configurator is a product that can be launched from multiple different launch points. We can launch configurator from a quote, as we saw this morning. You can also launch a configurator from orders. You can also do the same from a browse catalog experience. So there are multiple launch points of configuring a product is for now these three, but then it's a very plug and play application, and it can be launched for multiple different aspects of your product to cash journey. Lastly, I want to briefly also touch upon the amendment configuration. So configurator is not only enough for an initial sale. There are organizations which sell subscription products, and every time a product gets renewed or amended, there are configuration experiences. I can do cancellation, I can do a quantity upsell, I can reduce a quantity. So in fact, it gets very interesting when you do reconfiguration, because that's where you have some visual indications of what's my delta pricing. In the previous cycle, I purchased for, let's say, $100,000. This time I'm adding additional products. What's my delta pricing? Perhaps I want to cancel a few of the products that I had bought last time, or increase the quantity of some. So all of these, and like on the right, the configurator is suddenly looking very colorful. So we have introduced these different tags or labels, as you can see here, these stickers that give you a quick visual indication to the sales rep that as part of my amendment process, I have made a few changes, changed some certain attributes, increased certain quantity, or maybe even perhaps even done a cancellation. So it's a very helpful tool and gives you the delta total for negotiations. I talked about the cancellation. So this is, again, like I said, if I have a bundled product which has a mix of products, some products which are sold one time, some products which are sold subscription products, then within the configurator, you can go ahead, come in and cancel certain products, and you are notified on your summary as to what your end shape of that product is building up to be. This is another interesting thing. We talked about third-party configurators. So somebody this morning asked about logic, and there was a question with respect to Cricut and so on. Salesforce is building a complete end-to-end experience of the product configurator. Having said that, we are providing you the framework to integrate with third-party configurators. And we've seen in our customer base that oftentimes there is a requirement or necessity to have either a plug-and-play UI widget. So in this case, on my screenshot that I have here is that of a Caterpillar, in which they've integrated with KV Max, and there is one visual component. So tie this back to the composable template I was talking about, where everything was a composable template. All we did here is to call out a third-party configurator, which simply all it does is provides as a 2D or a 3D visualization. So an external call out to another configurator, which just takes one aspect of the entire configuration experience and gives us a 2D or a 3D visualization. So this is an example of coexistence of the Salesforce configurator along with a third party, a 2D or a 3D visual configurator. But there are also certain customers who completely want to rely on an external configurator, which is, let's say, a logic comes into play, or you have many other vendors out there. So that also is a possibility. So all you could do is simply launch from your quote. When you launch a configurator experience, we pass the entire context or the entire session to a third-party configurator, and it completely takes up the entire configuration experience and saves it back. So again, it's the framework is so designed that it is either you bring in your configurator, or you call in another third party for a particular widget or a component, or you simply go out and make a third party call altogether. Lastly, is this call out about headless configurator APIs. Now, everything that we do in the UI, with respect to all the various sales rep features that I called out with respect to, checking your prices, doing a price validation, adding a product, many a times there are customers who want to have their own user interface on top of it. So we do have a very vast list of APIs that we provide that are generally available. And this, when stitched together, actually gives you the entire configurator experience. So you can put on your own UI layer on top of these APIs and have the whole configurator experience. So in this case, this is not our UI as you can see it, but this was completely built by using these different APIs. All we did here was to load a config session, update a certain quantity here. And again, in this case, the example was that of a real estate website wherein we were trying to go look and see what's going to happen if I made up a certain estimate, and they were trying to configure a few things. So you can just build this up and make your configuration experience. With that, I think all the key details with respect to the configurator, both design time and runtime, has been covered, and I'll be getting into the application for a demo. But I'd like to see if there are any questions that the room has, or we could go ahead. This is it. Yeah, the question was, does that mean we don't need B2B commerce? Let's not mix the B2B commerce into this. B2B commerce has its own different experience. RLM is mostly for a B2B sales rep persona kind of an experience. So in this, the product configurator comes out of it. And you can have customers who choose to simply work with the APIs. So you can choose these APIs and build your own UI layer on top. Yeah. No other questions? Go for it. Yes, so the question was, when a third-party configurator takes the whole complete entire config experience, how does that play? So like I said, we can have third parties to just take a fragment of the configurator or the entire configurator. In this case, I think we've had some experience with Logic, wherein they do our whole quoting experience. The quote is created in the Salesforce environment. They click on configure, and from there we pass all the relevant context needed for configurator to a third-party configurator experience. So the UI is then, it's completely taken over by third-party configurator experience. You do all of that magic there. And when you close the session, you're back in the Salesforce ecosystem. So that whole handshake of how do you pass whatever is required for, let's say, a third-party integration, is all of that is in place. So we do have that, handshake APIs and contracts with it. Yeah. Any questions on Zoom that needs, or we're okay? I see Q&A there.
Hi, Rahita. Can you hear me?
Yes. We
Yeah,
can.
I have a question on. So in one of the slide, I saw that there was a flow page, and where we could define on how the attribute would look and feel, how the attribute will look at the end page, and then that product configuration was assigned to a product. Are you able to relate what I'm saying?
Yes. I follow you. Yeah.
Okay, so my question here is, so for each and every product, I need to assign that, or we can assign that on a category level, because I want my entire revenue life cycle, all the products to look in the same way.
Yeah. Now that's why the association with the product classification comes into play. So typically many of your products in an organization belong to a look and feel of a certain particular class, right? So we do a template association at a product level or at a product class level. So you can bundle up everything in one class and simply assign one template to that class, which would then mean that every product that belonged to that class would have the same look and feel.
Okay, and if I do it on a product level, so let's say I have two products in my cart, and that has different look and feel. So if I select one particular product, it would show you a different look and feel, and if I select the other, it will show you according to the configuration.
That is correct, according to your template assignment. So if you had an assignment which said for product ABC, show me attributes in a tabular manner, but for your other product XYZ, you wanted it in a different style. The moment you have done your association right, so you would be having that many template variations, and at launch, the appropriate one gets rendered.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right. Okay, if there are no further questions, then let's look into the application and see how all of this comes into play. If I can move this guy down somewhere. Yep. Right. So let's start with, as usual, the configurator design time experience, and then we will get into the configurator sales rep experience, which is your runtime experience. So the very first thing I said is about the configurator template and what does the template do. So as part of the revenue lifecycle management, we do provide an out-of-the-box product configurator template. So if you go to the setup and go to the flows page here, you will see a default product configurator flow. So let's look into this and see what this does. So I can simply come here and I can click on the edit flow component. And this is the various different customizable templates or customizable components that stitch together my configurator experience. So in this case, I have a header, which is on top, which is my product header. It has its name, details, blah, blah. I can add an image if I need it to be. Then there is your summary component here. It has its own different characteristics. And how do I want to see that? But the interesting one here, of course, are the attributes and the option groups. So attributes, again, we can talk about how we want them to be displayed. Do they all need to be in a tabular manner? Do we want them to be in a different, in an accordion style? Do I want to break it up in one column or two? And again, we have certain labs that we will work on, and you guys are going to be making changes to change the visualization of how your flow template gets rendered. So we do have an exercise for that. But these are the properties which once you go ahead as a product catalog or a designer persona, I can simply come here and look at these different components and make any changes that I need to visually change the appearance, and come here and make that and let's say save it. So at this point, it looks good with respect to how the whole components look like. I'm going to hit save on that. And with that, let's do the next action, which is that of assigning. So I'm going to go to the product configurator flow there. And this is where I couldn't understand that. All right. So this is the product configuration flow experience, and this is where your whole assignment happens. So let's take a look at this. So this is the out-of-the-box default template that I have chosen. And if you had multiple templates, you'll see more than one there. But then here's what my template has, and some of these different product classes, and somebody asked this question. So for the product, let's say computer storage, I have a certain template that needs to be rendered. But for the other, there are certain product-specific templates that I do need to to have a variation. So there are certain different products here which have a template assigned to it. Now that I'm a designer persona and I've done the whole assignment, I do need to know how it's actually going to look for my sales colleagues, right? So I'm still a persona who's a designer persona, so I have actually no idea of how the sales rep's going to do it. But having said that, it's my responsibility to ensure that the sales rep has a good view. And to do that, I have an experience called as preview. So I'm on the laptop product and I have a product configuration flow assigned. I can simply click at preview, and this preview, when it comes up, is going to show me that for a sales rep at runtime, it's going to look in such a manner. Again, note, there is no pricing, there is none of all this, simply because I'm still designer. This is not a transaction yet. The prime reason that I'm showing the preview is for me to ensure that the way I had set up my, let's say, the header component, the attribute component, if I like the way these are showing up. So this is the most key jobs to be done that I'm going to be doing in this page. And that's why the preview is essential, because it lets me know that the way I had set it up looks about right whenever it gets launched at runtime. Yeah, so that's your preview functionality. Now, we've done flows out of the way. We've assigned the templates. We've even made an assignment to the product and classification. So on a whole, the whole configurator, the whole skeleton or the template looks good. But there's another key crucial thing that we need to do as part of your catalog or your design time experience, which is nothing but the whole main configuration rule setup. So as part of the org, there is this enablement here, or sorry, a toggle here, which we say setup config rules. Now you got to enable this for anyone who's trying to write or administer a configuration rule. So in this case, I've gone ahead and made sure that I can create configuration rules here, which is this is enabled. And then as a rules persona or a rules administrative persona, I'm going to go into the product catalog management. And we have an entire experience here of configuration rules. So you come here and say configuration rules. Now, I have a rule already created, so I'm going to walk you through this. And again, as part of your labs, you're going to be looking as to what we're going to be doing here. But let me go ahead and simply edit this rule and walk you through this. So in our language, a rule is nothing but a set of condition and action. So if certain things happen, take a certain action, right? So here, a basics of a rule is defined by what's my rule here. The rule I've created is a very simple validation rule, which says that every time you buy a keyboard, ensure it is wireless. And if it is not, then prompt a message, and we'll see how we do that. So I'm defining a rule here which says I always need wireless keyboard to be sold. And I'm writing it on a product because I'm writing on the product called as keyboard. So I'm writing a product rule. And let's keep the usage subtype aside. It's for internal details, nothing that we need to be hung up upon right now. And I'm going to have this rule which has a certain period associated to it. It's going to be valid from XYZ date to if I need to put an end date, but you know, I have too many wireless keyboards, I need to get rid of them. So I'm going to let this rule be there forever. With that, I've defined just the basics of the rule, what its name and so on. Now, we talked about a rule could be a validation rule, it could be an include rule, exclusion rule, and this is just the beginning. It's all going to expand and we're going to have multiple different rules come into picture. But for now, for the simplicity of it, we're going to say validate a product. You can, of course, go ahead and do exclusion rule, which someone had a question. Can I have a rule which says if I sell Apple phones, do not sell Android phones, right? So I can do that. Or I could even say a required rule says if I sell MacBook, then ensure, you know, Apple doesn't sell anything for free, so I can't ensure. So just ensure the right plug point, I suppose. Anyway, so validate product. So I'm going to make a rule which says validate product. And this is where I was talking about the rule being nothing but a group of conditions. When met, take certain actions. So all I'm going to say is that when my product equals to keyboard and its attribute called as wireless does not equal to true, then send a message which says ensure wireless keyboard is selected. You saw how it was very English-like. I talked to you in English and we just translated it there. When something is equal to this and another blah, blah, blah condition is met, then you take an action. In this case, like I said, it was a very simple validation message. All it's going to do at runtime, which I'll show it to you in a bit, is that it's going to give you a message and it will prompt the user to behave. Yeah. We are working on that, yes, very much. In the next release, the question was, are we able to translate the message in different languages? The answer is yes, it's in the works. The next release, we have an experience where a same message could be rendered in different user locale languages. Yeah, cool. So that's all. And let's keep an eye on this and hold me accountable if I don't show you this at runtime. But this is the rule that we have, which says always sell wireless keyboards. Yeah. I'm going to cancel this because it's already in place and this rule is active. So I have this rule which is all active. With this, I think everything with respect to design time, it's done. I think my setup's good. The rules are in place. The template has been assigned and let's now go start selling this thing out, give it to the sales rep, right? So I'm going to close off all of these design time experience and let's go to the sales side of things. So now I'm a sales rep. So the persona has been changed. It started from a product designer persona. We went to the rules persona, and now we are on a sales rep persona. So let's say I'm a sales rep, and I've been working with a customer called as, I think, some Versatech, and I have an opportunity that I'm working with them. So I'm going to start with an opportunity here and say, I have an opportunity for Versatech is my customer that I'm working with. It's a spring opportunity. I probably want to close out in a month and I'm going to create a code. So let's start by creating this code. And the very first thing you do here is browse catalog. So this is not new for us anymore. You're going to browse your catalog and you can start looking at the products you want to sell. In this case, I am working with them for a hardware composition of product. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a few products. Now start looking at this cog wheels here. This is what we call it the cog wheels. This is what tells you that these are the products which are configurable. So if you recollect, I mentioned that a configurator could be launched from multiple different places. So this is the browse catalog experience. I have still not added stuff to my code, but of course, if I do want to go ahead and configure it, I can simply click on that and the configurator would be launched. For now, let me go ahead and select a few products that I'm, kind of keen in adding. So let's do a laptop pro bundle and maybe also select printer paper. So let's try to sell them laptop and printer. And we say add this to selection to code and we say save code. What I've intentionally done here is that I have selected two products. One of them is a simple product. And I say simple product because it's not a bundle product. And the other one is a bundle product. But both of them are configurable products. So let's go and look into it one by one. So the first one is a printer paper and the second one's laptop pro. Printer paper, what can one do with a paper? But apparently you can configure it. So let's see what we can. Now, this is a simple product. That's why you simply see the product. And this is where all the whole, the whole template has come into life. My product header looks right because I placed it on there. My summary component looks right. My attribute, which I had it in a tab manner, this one happens to have just one of them, is listed in such a way. So your whole template, which you had assigned to the printer paper, is now rendered with your live metadata. So printer paper is configurable. So let's look at what are the characteristics it has. Of course, it can either be an A size or a letter pad. So let's simply go do that. Now watch what happens. Within the configurator, anytime user starts making selection, we give them real-time updates of how your product is being built. So somebody is your friend. When you are a sales rep, somebody is your friend. This is where it tells you what my product looks like. Now, again, at this point, there are certain dashes. Again, this is simply because in the case of a simple product such as printer paper, clearly this is not much of a value. I can simply toggle the instant pricing on and I can start getting pricing for every action that I take. But this tool or this toggle definitely gets powerful when your product is pretty intense and big, and we'll see that in a minute. So what I did here is that I said instant pricing on. I quickly got my price here. Let's try to sell them loads of paper. So we can just say 200, and clearly anything I do will have a price impact, and then it just simply increases the price. It has its attribute. Very simple, nothing goes wrong here. And my product validation was always on. There's no particular rules behind this. So we were okay with the way, that we configured this. So this morning, people talked about product selling model, and you'll see that when I open the bundle configurator, but clearly printer paper had a list price of 8. It was a one-time PSM, which was supposed to be sold as one time, and you see the price here. So this looks good. I had to sell 200 of them. I'm going to simply save and exit and come out of the configurator for a simple product. All right. Simple products taking a little longer. Never mind. Let's X that out. It should come back. But let's look at the next one, which is your laptop pro bundle. Now, this is a bundle product. Hence, you have multiple different products underneath it. I'm going to simply launch the configurator. And this is where we have to probably spend a couple minutes and study the page. Now, it's a laptop product. Laptop pro bundle is the parent bundle that I have. It has multiple different options underneath. There was a question in the spreadsheet somebody had asked, do we have the compatibility between features and options that the Salesforce CPQ package has today? So the terminologies that we use now is an option and an option group. So I have an option group called here as laptop. And within this option group, I have two different options, which is antivirus and laptop. Now, Saras this morning showed us about there are certain products, if it is configurable, if it is required, all of that nice settings that happened in PCM gets displayed here. So somebody configure this laptop bundle and they made sure that the laptop, what is a laptop bundle without a laptop, right? You got to sell it. So this is required and you cannot take it out. So you have laptop here and it has its different various purchasing options. There are certain other products which are also part of this laptop pro bundle, and I can dynamically add them and see how that brings up my whole product. So again, on my left is the parent bundle along with its child components. Some of them are required, some of them are optional, and I can simply go ahead and start adding them. So let's start getting deeper into this. So this is the nested bundle. Laptop Pro bundle has laptop underneath it, and it's configurable, so which is why I have this one. So let's simply click into that. Watch what happened. Now I get a very focused view of laptop. I know where I am because it's a, imagine it was a, 5-level deep bundle. It tells me that I'm laptop inside Laptop Pro bundle, which is where it gives you the navigation path. Laptop here, and note, this is where your, the tabular way of attribute visualization is actually much clearly visible here. So this is different attributes that I have. I can go here, I can select graphics. I do that, my summary should be updated. It tells me I chose a graphics card. Some of them are already available. These are the attributes that on PCM have already been marked as required attributes along with their default values. So all of that's looking good to me. And these values look fine. I don't want to make any more changes. So I'm good with that. So I can either go back to the parent via this one, which simply is the name of the parent product, or I can just say summary top and go back. Look at this. On my right, I have all of these visual cues to tell me that laptop that got configured. There are multiple different key attributes for it. At any point of time, the sales rep needs to go back to the product to get more details. There are ways to do it. You simply click on that, you get back here, and you can always go back to the main product by clicking on summary up top. Let's start doing the instant pricing toggle on. So because, you want to start building this product. So as I'm talking to my customer and I'm trying to sell them laptops, clearly I want to sell more than one. So I'm going to say, let's sell 10 of them, or let's sell 12 of them. Why not? So we stay. And so there is this, in PCM this morning, we talked about quantities and how parent child quantity, all of that gets translated. So if I sell 12 of my Laptop Pro bundle, watch that my laptop has to be 12 and the quantity was non-editable because this was a non-editable field there, and it simply got calculated via its relationship with the parent. So I have my price here. Likewise, for anything else which had such a relationship, the quantity got updated. However, there were certain others whose quantity didn't get updated because they were constant. So I have the other ones which are set at 1. So this is good, but I also wanted to sell them warranty. So let's go ahead and add that. Now this bundle is an interesting bundle because this one has a mix of products which are either sold one time. Clearly, I'm going to sell you laptop only once, but I have a warranty which I want to keep giving you over a period of time. So it's a recurring product or a subscription model product. So on my summary, not only do I get a breakup of all the products, but I also get a breakup of how much price or how much money am I paying you upfront versus how much would I pay you over a period of time if it was a subscription product. Imagine you had another product here which was sold over yearly or monthly. Then these price breakup here is a very powerful tool for the sales rep to understand and negotiate with the customer as to how your pricing is being sent over. Cool. Any questions so far here? Any questions on how my bundle is coming up? No? Go ahead. Yes, I did select antivirus. That's why I didn't update. And somewhere behind the scenes, in when the laptop was defined, the quantity of antivirus was a constant. Let's just say that. So it just got stuck to that because I don't want to sell 12 of the antiviruses. I just want, let's say, 1. So correct. It in CPQ language is also, I think, there's that fixed, none, and I think proportional. It's the quantity scale method that's coming into play here. Yeah. Okay, so I'm selling 12 laptops. Each laptop has its mouse. I got my warranty into it. I have my prices ready. All of this looks good. I can simply click on save and exit and push this out. Yeah. The system is tired like all of us, I suppose. Yeah. Anyways, this should partner community. Yes, experience load. Yeah. All right. Okay. So as my quote, I've been talking to the customer. I'm selling them 12 laptops, selling them 200 printers, papers here. My quote total looks right and everything seems to be good here. So let's simply go ahead and create an order with these two products in it. I'm going to click on.
Hey, Rahita, do you mind sharing that validation for the wireless keyboard?
Thank you for holding me accountable. I have a click back for that, and you're going to see it right now. But thank you. Go ahead. You have a question? For this quote, you have the quote summary down here. You have a quote summary down here. Yeah. So one of our friends here has held us accountable for the keyboard, right? So we'll go back to that. And I just created an order. So let's pick up the order which just got created. So this is the order in which I think, yeah. So we created order, we have printer and we have laptop. You can add products not only through quotes, but you can also add products when you're in order. So I was talking to the customer, we almost finalized everything, but then they realized that they also want keyboards. So I said, fine, okay, why not? Let's go back, edit the order, and I'm going to do the same journey, browse catalog, and then let's pull up the keyboard. Did I get the yeah? So I'm going to add keyboard here and save this to my order. If you recollect in the beginning, we said that you can launch a configurator from multiple different launch points. The intention of adding a keyboard from the order was to show you guys that I can, see a product here and launch the configurator when I'm in when I'm in the orders. So I have a keyboard here and I am going to configure it because it's configurable. And this is where by default, the keyboard was wireless, but I made an accident choice or I just didn't want to sell the wireless keyboard. Now, this is where our configuration rule, which was a validation rule, got kicked in. It said, you have to always sell wireless keyboard. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Okay, whatever. I'm going to sell 10 of them, but I'm not paying attention to it. And, I just said, save and exit. I still didn't fix the error because I, just didn't want to. But note what that does. The errors that happens in the configurator do get transported back to your quote. So I'm a sales rep still, and I cannot move this from one state to the other if I have errors in my configuration. I can save them back to the code, but then this will prevent me from this order being generated and activated because there are certain products that have an error. So this tells me that there is an error in this product. Go ahead and fix it. So I'm going to come back to the configurator and, come back after a couple of days. And this is where, this is a simple product, so it's all right and great and good, but this is what we call as an error component. Now, error component is a place where all your errors in the product application gets filled up together. So this is a simple product, so you just have one line. But imagine if you had a bundle product, a large bundle, 75 bundle product, and it had multiple errors. So this is where it comes in handy because it tells you not only the error, but this view hyperlink here actually takes you to where the product is in your bundle tree. So in this case, it's simply on the same page, nothing, no big deal. But let's say if it was somewhere down deep, you will go there and you will fix it. Go ahead. I'll repeat the question. Go for it.
If you're multiple errors, does it show?
Yes, it does. So it's going to be all in a list of all your, it's going to be one after the other. And as and when you keep fixing these errors, they get cleared off. Yes. So at the time of rule configuration, maybe I should go back and show you, you can dictate the severity. So you can say if it is an error, it is a warning, or it is, I want to say there's one more, error, warning, or information. So error is something that will actually block you from transitioning to one state to the other. Warning, as the name says, is warning, and info is info, and these just change your visual representations. Yeah. Okay, so this time I'm going to fix this error. I'm going to make sure that I sell wireless keyboards. I did that, and that messaging goes away. And my product looks right. I'm selling 10 of them. I should have sold 12 because there are going to be 2 laptops without a keyboard, but it's okay. So we have 10, 20, 12, 12, and my order pricing looks about right. So let's go ahead and push this out and activate this order. So I'm going to click on activation and say activate order, and the order was activated. Now I'm going to go back to my account and look at these assets that got created. So this was all the work that I did with respect to the order. I sold laptop, I sold printer, and assets got created. Now this particular laptop pro bundle, let me go back there. Now I want to show you guys the amendment flow, or what happens when you start amending, and you've done your first session, but then you want to start making changes and make edits to some of these products. So I'm going to take this laptop pro bundle and click on amend. Or maybe let's do the first one, because I changed the pricing source for it. So it's pretty much the same. So let's pick up this laptop pro bundle, and I'm going to click on amend. So the first thing you do is you pick your date, and it's going to create a new code, which is an amendment code, and it carries over the product that you're trying to amend. So in this case, my laptop pro bundle had a quantity of 10 that I had sold, and this was the XYZ price. I'm going to configure here, because I talked to the customer, and we need to make certain changes. We need to make some changes on the graphics card. We need to add a few other things. Look how this is going to become colorful. Yeah. So I'm going to, first of all, sell them 20. So let's make a quantity up, or an upsell of 20. So on your summary, you would see that your previous quantity was 10. Now you're selling it 20. You basically have added 10 more. So this tells you that there is an upsell of 20, upsell of 10. Now, if you recollect, there is the price or the quantity association with the parent and the child. That's why the quantity of the laptop and the mouse also got up, and it is 10. Now, interesting to note here is that we have a label called as delta total, because when you're doing amendments, you've already paid the chunk of money, and you'd be only paying extra for what you're purchasing next, either canceling or making addition. So that's your delta total, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what I also want to do is that I also want to, at this time, sell antivirus. So I'm going to quickly add that and make a new edition of antivirus that was not sold before. Now I have added antivirus, and that has a new ticker here which says this was a new sale. I want to make a few changes for laptop, and I want to change the graphics card here. So I'm going to say from that one, let's go to Intel. So on my right, I see that I have made an amendment on your attribute. So attribute changes are visualized in such a manner that it tells you this was your previously selected attribute. This is your new attribute that you've made. So what have I done so far? I have changed the quantity. I have done an upsell. I have changed the attribute values, and you see that visually being indicated. I have also added a new product. But configurator is also the place where you can do cancellations. Now, like I said, this product or this bundle product is a mix of subscription products as well as one-time products. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead. I'll take a question. Yeah.
Just if there's to change is for the new quantities or the old?
It'll be for the new. So the question was the attribute change was for the old or for the new? It'll be for the newer ones that you added. Yeah. Cool. The other thing, so we've made an attribute change. We've made a new addition because we added something new. We also made a quantity update. I was talking about doing a cancellation. So I'm going to go ahead and make a cancellation. I had warranty that was previously sold. The way you cancel a product in the configurator is by simply deselecting the option that was selected. It can't be that easy, right? You can simply go deselect and make a mistake. So we do want the sales rep to ensure that that indeed was the right selection. So we prompt you by saying that, hey, listen, you're trying to remove this, and once you do it, you cannot undo it. What that means is that if you, it's a non-negotiable change, I suppose. You cannot take it off. So I say, I'm sure I want to get rid of this. I'm going to hit OK. So that price goes away. That product is marked as canceled here. And that price is dropped down. The quantity, of course, gets dropped down. It got canceled here. And it has been marked as an amendment to the whole product, to the whole laptop product. With this, everything with respect to my amendment looks right. I just want to simply go to check the final price of all that I have done here with my attribute change and upsell and so on and so forth. appears that my delta price change here is that of 11,000 and change. So this delta pricing is what gets attached to this amendment code because this is the changes that has happened during reconfiguration.
But the effective date of that form is calculated from the start of the
From the start of the amendment date that we selected from the code date, we put an amendment date at the time of creation. That's the date it's going to be pinned to.
Rahita, can you please repeat the question for us? The room
Yes, sorry.
downstairs.
The question was when the warranty which got cancelled, when would the date of the cancellation apply? And the response to that is when we did the amendment, we had selected a date in future, and that was the date to which this warranty would be cancelled. And I just want to stretch and say that in the future, we do plan to introduce the date specifics in the configurator, so you can select a futuristic date or change the dates differently. So you can say that, hey, this I want to change on a certain given time. You have a question? Yes, here. So here too. Here, if you had, we would do a delta total for a monthly and a delta total for quarterly. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah. The spinner, so our recommendation is to keep the instant pricing off. The only time you see that is when you had turned off and you put it back on. So that's your system's processing behind the scenes. The question was, is there a way to get rid of the spinner? Is that what you're saying, right? So if you don't want to do that, then you keep your instant pricing on, and every time you make a change, it's going to quickly just, that's just the system processing. It's just, simple answer is we're working on the performance. Let's just call it that. Yeah, but that is just the time it takes to go make your pricing calls, come back and give you that. So yes, every time. So basically any action that a sales rep takes in the configurator has to go in as a price impacting action. So it is going to make that call. So it's just, if it's more of a visual one, we'll take it back to our UX to see if that spinning wheel could be annoying. But the idea is it just making the backend pricing calls and updating that on the front end. Yeah? You had a question?
Hey, Rahita, there's a question from the room downstairs. So do you want to take up?
I'm in the process of taking one question, Ramkesh. Let me finish that. We'll get to you. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, finish up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to use the mic, please. Yeah. Yeah.
So the question is, what are the different options in terms of UX on the layout? So we see the components in the flow that the options within the flow are limited to what can be done and how you can place them. That's one of the options in terms of the actions inside and sizing and small
Yeah. So
images, maybe links or
right. No, good question. The question again, I don't have to repeat it. You must have heard it. So the flow components basically alter the characteristics of these components. So flow tells you if this can be bigger in size, the size characteristics and so on. And of course, the visually, how do you want to place it? You want to be a tab or a column and so on and so forth. But the actions is not something that the flow determines. The flow is just simply the visual appearance of it. The action of simply doing whether a quantity update or an attribute selection, that's very programmatically determined on the UI. So which is going further, what can one do? You have to add an attribute, you change a quantity, you add and deselect things. The action is very, application dependent. Visualization is flow based. Yeah. Ramkesh, we can take a question from there.
Yeah, go for it, please.
Well, it's already answered actually from those. The question was, is the percent of total part of the product? So you can calculate, services. So if you have a management, what is it, a service contract or so, then you have 10% of your total license fees as a
Price.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So just to clarify, first of all, Rahita, did you hear the question?
No, we want you to rephrase the back, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me also understand the question. You are saying, do we support scenarios where like percentage of total is the subscription amount for certain product, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think, Rita, I can take it up. It looks like this is related to dry pricing, and I'll confirm it through a scenario. So scenario is like there is some other product whose price is like percentage of total of the quote or total subscription amount. Is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah.
So in case this is like similar scenario similar to warranty, and also when I'm purchasing warranty for a product, then it's like a warranty is like 10% of some other product.
Yeah.
If that is scenario, it's called dry pricing in our terminology, and it's there on our roadmap. It's coming up very soon on our roadmap, near-term roadmap.
Thanks. So a couple of questions as well.
Okay, sure. Right, there are a few more questions, so please let us
Yeah, go
allow
for
us to take.
So where you've got the options there on the left, that's quite a lot of real estate per product.
Mhm.
You've got 200. That's going to be quite hard to manage. I know you've got the tabs a lot, but are you able to control the size of each card?
Each of
Yeah.
these cards.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I
Another
hope,
question.
Raita, you heard the question, right?
You guys get the question? I can repeat. Oh, you guys got the question. Perfect. It is one of our UX initiatives right now, which, like you said, if this looks good when I have 10 products on the screen, but what's going to happen if I have forget even 100, but if it gets to 25, what happens? So a couple of things that we are trying to do is to reduce this and make it more of a very slim option card, or even resize the same, but we have multiple different UX visualization initiatives going on to have yet a concise view, but definitely it's not going to be this big. You can, for starters, you can change the sizing of it, but again, that's also limiting. So we are going to come up with UX to have a very slim visualization of these option cards. Yeah. And again, I just want to stretch that out to say that will be dependent on your bundle size. Programmatically, we want to be able to make a bigger picture if your bundle is fairly smaller, and readjust if your bundle is growing larger. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Another quick one. Way on the right here, you've got the delta total. Obviously noticed on the quote level, you have that for annual pricing and total pricing. Have you got control over what you put in there? So MRR, incremental ARR, stuff like that.
Right. So there is some customization that can happen. For now, when I close this session, there is an equivalent column on the quote line to which this gets stamped. Having said that, you can go back and edit the field and make a formula or introduce a custom field on the quote, which can give you the whole MRR. And also, there has been asks of can I also stamp what my previous total for the configuration was and what's my new total. So there is going to be that columns that gives you what was previous and what is now sold at, if that helps answer your question.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
I've got just a quick question.
Yeah, right. A few more. Sorry, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just one more. So previously you added extra laptops as like an additional I guess an amendment of the order. Is there a way to add additional products but then change the actual attribute value on the product?
Yes.
That is different to the original product. So the example would be, I'm going to sell 10 laptops on my quote, but when I come to the order, the customer wants to place another 10 laptops, but with a different graphics card, for example. Is there a way of adding those 10 additional laptops with the difference in attribute value?
Right. So, and actually, simply put, your question is about, can I have multiple instances of the same product which differ in their characteristics, correct? So so which is something that you can do today. So this one, hypothetically, let's start imagining. This one is 10, and this is all graphics card 10 and 7, whatever, and I'm going to hit save and exit. I can clearly go amend and add another product, go back to my browse catalog, bring the same laptop back, and this time have a different graphics card. So I can have multiple instances of the same product on a quote, which differ in their attributes. Yeah, does that help answer your question?
But your question was in regards to that, or you wanted to make a renewals amendments on the product and change the product there? So you purchase the product and then you make changes to them by replacing it by that.
Exactly.
Raita, I believe this is not supported, or you can correct me here. The scenario is that you purchase product A, and then you go through amendment or renewal scenario. Now you want to replace this product A by product B.
No,
right?
That's sorry. If I thought it was multiple instances. No. So once you have it, you can't replace it. You just amend on that, or you add a new product altogether. You can't, shift, delete, and add another insert into it. No.
Essentially, you have to cancel the existing one,
Correct.
add a new one,
Yes.
we go with the new sales scenario.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that the same scenario if, so you see how the mouse is dependent on the number of laptops. So if you select 10 laptops, you need 10 mice to come with that. Is there a way of being a bit more dynamic to say, actually, we're going to change the quantity of laptop to go to 15, but I want to keep the mouse at 10. I don't want to increase that to 15. They already have 5 themselves.
Yeah,
Is there a way of
I'm glad you
Yeah.
asked that question. Now, I got the question and I'm glad you asked it, but that is one of the key enhancements that we're doing in our upcoming release, which essentially doesn't have put this hard dependency on this parent child. We want to launch the configurator by saying that if you buy 10, of course, buy 10 mouse, but actually don't buy 10 mouse. Go ahead and change the value of 10 to, let's say, 12. So today, this is a read-only quantity instance. We are introducing a new concept called as instance quantity, which then tells the user to go ahead and dynamically say that maybe keyboard and mouse, probably not a good example, but then you can edit that and make a new quantity instance of it and use that for selling this particular transaction.
perfect? Yeah.
Thank you. Any more questions from the room? Good. Yeah, Rahita, we are good. Thank you.
Perfect.
Hey, hi. Sorry to interrupt. So just have a couple of questions. So usually in comms B2B scenario, we have a site-based ordering, so where user will load the site and order. So are we supporting site-based and the multi-site concepts here?
I'm looking at my colleague Bovin here to see if he has any experience on site-based ordering.
This is the almost kind of commerce.
Yeah.
Commerce basically working with the commerce cloud and to make this tool interoperable. So basically, commerce cloud has a concept of store.
Yeah.
Or site. In the current RLM, we don't have the concept, but we are working on in the coming days to harmonize this tool so that we can support commerce in this case with a site or store concept.
Go ahead. There are a couple in this room, Ramkesh will play tag. So go ahead. Yeah.
From the point of view, can you add custom components?
Yeah.
Is that where you would, for example,
You got it. You got it very correct. So yeah, so in your custom flows is where you can have customizable components. I gave an example of a Google Maps widget. So that is an external component you can simply plug and play. And at runtime, I'll dig up a screenshot for you and you can see Google Maps show up here. So that's one to do it. And you'd have a new template which will launch, let's say, a third-party configurator. So you can have your product catalog, some which call the native configurator, and some other product classification reaching out and fetching another configurator. So that coexistence is in place. Yeah, go ahead.
If you are doing translation, you have potentially different behavior on whether or not the order has been fulfilled.
That's
so, for example, something is not versus simple customization.
So you cancel an asset, right? So it has the order was activated and an asset was created. You only cancel the asset. So that order must have gone through completely, and the cancellation only happens for something that you'd already purchased. Correct. Yes. No, because you wouldn't even be able to launch, reconfigure at that time. So once your order is fully completed, activated, and fulfilled, then when you reconfigure, we do those checks behind the scenes that the order status is accurate.
The sales order can be draft centers. Then today, you can add all the products to the draft order, but
not an activated order.
Yeah, that makes sense. You only see this or
No, sorry, I didn't catch it with you. Price.
So let's say you ship a product. It's only done the order. So you don't have to just see any service for the only question. You don't see
Any order folks on the call, guys? Do you get this question? I don't want to misrepresent this, or if not, maybe this is a question for the spreadsheet.
No, we could not hear the question. right? If you can refresh.
I think it's a little detailed question, Ramkesh. I'm going to ask them to enter into the spreadsheet for the experts to get that.
Okay.
So order
Perfect.
activation question. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions here in the room? Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. So if on this screen, if you want to see the prices in with taxes.
With taxes.
Yeah, because if I'm talking to the consumer or with some external crowd, and I want to do an investment, and I want to pay all prices in all taxes.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Right now, we do not show tax representation here. That is something that we are looking into, showing it up here. But this is simply just your list price and your final negotiated, like all your pricing elements. But tax is out of it. But we'll take that as a feedback. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Any questions online? You have a question? Go ahead. Sorry, one more from the room, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
If I can just extend this question.
Yeah.
Every time you want to add a discount, you need to leave the configuration page and go back.
Yeah.
So even if you enable the instant pricing, it could be also wrong.
So one thing to note here is that, and we don't have it in this release of the application, is that any of your volume-based discounts, attribute-based discounts, all of that do get kicked in here. So let's say if there was a discount which said if I sell more than 100 laptops, give a 10% off. So that'll happen here. The discount will take place, but you can't manually enter. Any manual entry has to happen through the quote line item. But you would see all your discounts and all your various pricing getting kicked in here. And we will have a price waterfall. If you guys recollect, there's a price waterfall in the QLI. In our next version, you will see the same within the configurator. You see the whole brick. Yeah. All right. Anyone from the other room or online? Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a question here online. Jay here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
In terms of the pricing, do you save the information in the given transaction record? For example, I've sold, let's say 10 products at a price of 100 each, and then 6 months down the line, the customer is looking for a refund and they want to downgrade to 5 instead of 10, and I'm having to give a refund. And in the meantime, the price has gone up. So will you be looking up at the list price, which is the new list price, which has gone from, let's say, 100 to 200, and do the refund, or will you save the transaction, save the data somewhere in the transaction to say it was sold at 100, so the refund has to be done based on the list price and the price waterfall that was applied at the point of ordering?
So I'm navigating through a page here, and if I get to it, so when I do the amendment, there is a setting that we do which says pricing source. So here, if I say that, remember the last transaction price or the list book price. So the first time I sold stuff to you, I sold you for $100. And I said, when I amend it, use the last transaction price. If the setting was such, then you will always use the last transaction price, which was $100. But then if you had made it to a price book or a list price, then if it was 100 and now it's 120, then you would pick that. So it depends upon the setting that you do on the asset at the time of reconfiguration, whether to choose your last transaction price or your list price.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
Does that mean the asset record is ordered to be account
Yes.
at that price?
Yes, that is correct. It's on a per asset for that account.